In this segment, I am going to introduce you to multiplication and division of algebraic expression. In multiplication and division of algebraic expression, we are not going to consider the terms to be like terms or not like terms. Unlike addition and subtraction, where the terms must be like terms before we can add or subtract, it will not be the same under multiplication and division. That is to say, we can multiply or divide whether the terms are like terms or not like terms. Let's take an example under multiplication of algebraic expression. Example 1, a times 2. Now in this question, a is a variable and 2 is a real number. Remember, we don't consider like terms when multiplying. So the final answer for a times 2 will be 2a. Let's take example 2. We have 3m times 2n. Now, 3 is a coefficient and 2 is also a coefficient. Let's multiply the coefficients first. 3 times 2 is 6. Variable m times n is mn. Bringing our final answer to 6mn. Let's take the third example. V squared times v cubed. They are both variables, but different powers. Under multiplication, when the same variables multiply, we add their powers according to the first law of indices. So this will become v, the power 2 will add to the power 3, making it power 5. So the final answer will be v raised to the power 5. Let's take the fourth example. 5a raised to the power 4, multiplying 2a power 3. We are simplifying this. Since we have a multiplication sign, we will go by the multiplication method. So the coefficient 5 will multiply the coefficient 2, giving us 10. The only variable in this question is a. We have a to the power 4 and a to the power 3. A power 4 times a power 3. Since they are multiplying, the powers of the variable a will add, giving us a raised to the power 7. So for this matter, the final answer will be 10a raised to the power 7. Let's take the fifth example. Simplify negative 6m squared times 2n cubed times a. From this example, we can multiply the coefficients first. So negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. The coefficient of this variable a is 1. So negative 12 times 1 is still negative 12. With the variables m squared times n cubed. Since the variables are not the same, we will maintain them with their powers. So it becomes m squared n cubed times a. Now, you can choose to leave your answer this way, but for the sake of alphabetical arrangement of the variables, we will rewrite this answer as negative 12a m squared n cubed, giving a as the variable which will come first. Let's take example number 6. Simplify 2x cubed times 3xy times x squared y cubed. Now we can take the coefficients first of all. So coefficient 2 times coefficient 3 gives us 6. The coefficient here is 1. So 6 times 1 is still 6. With the variables, x alphabetically comes before y. So let's consider the x. X power 3 times x gives us x power 4 times another x power 2 makes it x power 6. Since the powers of the variable x will all add. Now let's see the power for y. We have y power 1 and y power 3. Since they are multiplying, we'll get y power 4. We'll add the powers, so making it y raised to the power 4. Finally, our answer will be 6x power 6, y power 4. Let's now take our first example under the division of algebraic expression. In this example, it says simplify m divided by n. Now, if you can check the variables, they are not like terms. But as we rightly said from the beginning, division do not consider like terms. So with this, the final answer can be written as m divided by n. This and this are the same. Our second example under the division will be 9a raised to the power 3 divided by 3a. Now you can rewrite it in the numerator and the denominator format. 9a cubed divided by 3a. From algebra, a cubed means a multiplying itself 3 times. This is the meaning. The 9 will stand with our division sign. A cubed is times a times a times a. That's multiplying it 3 times. Down here we have 3 multiplying a. Now let's now divide or cancel out. 3 goes into itself 1. 3 goes into 9, 3. I have a into itself 1. Cancelling one of the a's here, 1. Now let's simplify the terms or the term at the numerator with the term at the denominator. Just look at the numerator. We have 3 times 1 times a, making it 3a squared. All divided by 1 times 1, that is divided by 1. Now checking this, we can rewrite it as 3a squared. Why? Because any number divided by 1 in mathematics is still the same number. So our final answer will become 3a squared. Let's solve question number 2 with the indices approach. We have 9a cubed divided by 3a. Let's take the coefficient 9 and divide it by 3. Put them in bracket to show the complete work. So 9 divided by 3 in bracket. Now let's move to the variable a. A raised to the power 3 divided by a, also in bracket. A power 3 divided by a. Putting them in bracket shows the complete term. 9 divided by 3 will give us 3. A power 3 divided by a. Using indices, the variable a are the same, so I maintain one of the a's. Then I use the powers, but this time around I'll subtract the powers because of the division sign. So it will become the power 3 minus the power 1. Since there's no power at a, the power is considered to be 1, so minus 1. Finally, my answer will become 3. A power 3 minus 1 becomes a power 2. So the final answer here becomes 3a squared. Let's take the third example under division of algebraic expression. Here we have to simplify 8x raised to the power 4, y raised to the power 5, divided by 4x raised to the power 2, y. Now you can rewrite it in the numerator and denominator format. So 8x raised to the power 4, y raised to the power 5, divided by 4x squared, y. Now per the coefficients, we have 8 at the numerator and 4 at the denominator. 4 can go into itself 1 and cancel 8, 2. So for the coefficient, we would have 2 as our final answer. Now let's go to the variables. X raised to the power 4 at the numerator divided by x raised to the power 2 at the denominator. Since this has the least power, it will be the power 2 subtracted from 4. So x power 4 minus 2, giving us x raised to the power 2. Then coming to the y raised to the power 5 and y having a power of 1. So power 5 minus power 1 gives us power 4. So we get y raised to the power 4. That means our final answer will become 2x squared y raised to the power 4. Let's use a different approach to solve the question number 3. Now let's rewrite this question in the numerator and denominator form first of all. So it becomes 8x raised to the power 4 y raised to the power 5 all divided by 4x raised to the power 2y. Checking from the coefficient, have 4 and 8. So 4 will go into itself 1 and go into 8 2. Then we check the x. I have x power 4 against x power 2. Since x power 2 is the least, it will be able to cancel or divide x power 4. So x power 2 will divide itself 1 and divide x power 4 at x power 2. Why? Because the powers will subtract since they are divided. So power 4 minus power 2 will remain as x power 2. Let's talk about y. The y power 1 and y power 5. Since y power 1 is the least, it will cancel itself 1. And then the y will cancel y power 5 as y power 4. Why? Power 1 will go and subtract power 5, giving us power 4. So y power 4. Now, let's simplify the terms using the numerator first of all. We have 2 times x squared times y power 4, giving me 2x squared y power 4. Then let's consider the denominator. I have 1 times 1 times 1, giving me still 1. Simplifying further, any number divided by 1 is still the same number. So I have 2x squared y raised to the power 4 as my final answer. Let's take the fourth example under division of algebraic expression. Now here we have 25 u power 3 v power 6 all divided by 5u squared v squared. Now don't forget, checking from the question, the numerator has 25 and the denominator has 5. 5 goes into 25, 5. So from the answer we get 5. 25 divided by 5 will give us 5. Let's take u power 3 with u power 2. The least power will divide the highest power. So using the indices approach, the power 3 will be minus power 2, making it u raised to the power 1. I'll leave it without the power, meaning it's power 1. Then taking v power 6 divided by v power 2. It will be the power 6 minus the power 2. So maintaining v, power 6 minus power 2 gives us power 4. So from this, our final answer will then be 5u v raised to the power 4. Now let's use an alternative method to still solve question number 4. Now checking here, you realize that 5 can divide 25. So 5 goes into itself 1, goes into 25, 5. So we have, for the coefficients, we have 5. Then looking at the u, variable u, we see the numerator's variable u is having a power of 3. The denominator's variable u is having a power of 2. So it becomes u, since their variables are the same, we maintain the u, but we subtract the powers. Numerator power 3 minus, because of the division sign, we subtract minus the power 2. Then we take that of the v. We have the numerator's v at power 6 and the denominator's v at power 2. We maintain the variable v. Then we subtract the powers because of the division, making it 6 for the first power minus 2 for the second power. Then we simplify this further. 5 still stands. U raised to the power 3 minus 2 becomes U power 1. We don't write the 1 since a variable without the power is still power 1. Then we go to the V. V raised to the power 6 minus 2, giving us V raised to the power 4. So still the final answer becomes 5U V power 4. Let's take a look at the 5th question, which says simplify 3a squared b power 5, all divided by 12a power 4b. Now I want to use the cancellation method to make it more easier for us. So let's rewrite the entire question again. 3a squared b raised to the power 5, all divided by 12a power 4b. Now, the coefficient 3 will go into itself 1 since it's the least. Then it will go into 12 4 times. Then if you check a raised to the power 2 and a raised to the power 4, this is the least. So it will cancel itself 1 and cancel a raised to the power 4, a raised to the power 2. That is to say, the powers will subtract and leave the answer at the denominator level. Then coming to the variable b, the least is the b power 1 down here, and this becomes the highest. So b will cancel itself 1, and the b will cancel b power 5 as b raised to the power 4, which means the powers will subtract. Power 1 will subtract from power 5, giving us power 4. If you analyze the answer, the terms at the numerator will be 1 multiplying 1 multiplying b raised to the power 4. So we have b raised to the power 4 at the numerator side, and then with the denominator we have 4 multiplying a squared multiplying 1. So 4a squared, because multiplying 1 is the same thing, so we get 4a squared. When we get to indices, this term can be written also in another form, so we'll talk about that under indices. So then the final answer will become b raised to the power 4, all divided by 4a squared. Let's take a look at question number 6, which says 36p raised to the power 3 y raised to the power 6, all divided by 6p raised to the power 4 y raised to the power 2. Let's use the cancellation method to make it simpler. So we have to rewrite the question again. So this is equal to 36p raised to the power 3 y raised to the power 6, all divided by 6p raised to the power 4 y raised to the power 2. Now checking the coefficient, I have the coefficient of 36 at the numerator and 6 at the denominator. Obviously 6 is the least one, so 6 goes into itself 1 and goes into 36 6. Let's check the variable p. The least power is at the numerator, so p raised to the power 3 will cancel itself 1 and cancel p raised to the power 4 p. Why? As we said, when the variables are divided, you subtract their powers. So the power 3 subtracted from power 4 gives us power 1, so p power 1. Let's go to the variable y. The least power is y squared, so y squared will cancel itself 1 and cancel y raised to the power 6, y raised to the power 4, since the powers will subtract. So the power 6 minus power 2 will give us power 4, so y power 4. Now let's simplify. At the numerator section, we have 6 times 1 times y power 4, giving us 6y power 4. Then at the denominator, I have 1 times p times 1, giving us p. So this becomes 6y power 4, all divided by p. We can change this into an indices form. When we get to indices, I will elaborate on that one. So our final answer remains 6y power 4, all divided by p. Now let's take the final example under the division of algebraic expression. The question says simplify 7r squared s raised to the power 5, all divided by 49r raised to the power 3s. Still, let's use the cancellation method to make it easy. So we rewrite the question as 7r raised to the power 2 s raised to the power 5, all divided by 49 r raised to the power 3 s. Checking the coefficients, I have 7 at the numerator and 49 at the denominator. So 7 being the least goes into itself 1 and cancels 49 at 7. Let's go to the r. I have r squared as the least. So r squared goes into itself 1, goes into r cubed as r, because the powers will subtract. So power 3 minus power 2 remains with power 1. So r power 1. Let's check that of the s. S power 1 will cancel itself 1 and cancel s power 5 as s power 4. Since the powers will subtract, power 5 minus power 1 will give us power 4. So s power 4. Now rewrite the final answers. Let's look at the numerator. I have 1 times 1 times s power 4 giving me s raised to the power 4. Then at the denominator, 7 times r times 1 gives me 7r. So our final answer for this question will be s raised to the power 4 all divided by 7r, which can also be written in indices form. But as I rightly said, we will come to that stage of the indices. So this is our final answer.